just want to say, truth on day, yeah, 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 yeah. Welcome to episode 2 of the Know It Alls podcast with your favorite popular culture nerds, Fezi and Ayanda. Hi, it's episode 2.
OMG.
Oh my god.
Can you believe we're back?
I cannot, but I'm thrilled.
Yes.
The belief is not the important thing here. It's the fact that I'm here.
It's what's real.
It's what the actual thing is about.
Yes, feelings aren't facts.
You know what it is. So thank you so much for those of you who have already subscribed.
18 subscribers clicking away on that notification button and those comment sections, and you like our video and you share it with your friends and you follow the accounts and you're a subscriber.
Okay, so thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Please
Yes,
tell
guys.
your friends, your families, your lovers. Yeah, this is a great show. So give it your time, give it your attention.
Yeah.
I just thought maybe we should introduce ourselves
I agree.
because, who are we? What are we? Why do we
Why
do this?
are we? Yeah.
Yeah. So, over to you, sweetie.
Maybe let's do so by first addressing this image over here. This band is called Thusi. We're a duo. Okay, we sing folk Xhosa music.
Sorry, by duo she means another duo that she's part of.
Oh,
Because
okay.
this is also a duo, so girl.
I'm professionally poly. But yeah, our genre of music is like a fusion of Xhosa folk music and classical music. And we just hit 1 million streams on Spotify this past week.
Boop.
So
Boop, boop, boop,
that's what I do in the world. Some of you know me prior to this platform as a journalist. I make documentaries every now and again with some really cool people on some really interesting topics. My latest one, you might have seen clips from it on social media. It's the Operation Tudula documentary on BBC Africa Eye. Actually, the YouTube channel. So you can actually watch that on the same platform after you watch this. My name is Ayanda, and Fezi and I, met through that thing.
Yes, that was 4 years ago.
Pre-pandemic is right now.
Yes, yes.
No, during. I met you in 2020. Late
it?
2020 is 21.
Okay. Well, hello.
Hi.
I am Fezokuhle Mthonti. I, in a previous life, was an arts journalist, and I suppose I still am. I used to be an arts editor as well for a little bit of time.
For New Frame.
Which
R.I.P.
you probably won't see on the interwebs, but it was it was legit and was cool and it was important. And yeah, there was some really fantastic work that happened there. But I got my first break through Maneo Mohale. Sorry. And yeah, kind of commissioned me for the Mail and Guardian when I was a wee little baby. And then I was like, oh, I like this. I like thinking thoughtfully about this. Also just because that was my background. I am a politics and drama major, and so I always try to squeeze both worlds into the things that I was doing. So if I was kind of doing some analysis in drama, I was always thinking politically about it. And if I was doing some analysis through politics, I was always thinking about what the kind of dramatic or media or popular culture moments were in that. And so that was really important for me. And then I think I've just been a cultural person.
Yeah.
What do we call ourselves? Cultural makers?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
You call yourself a cultural worker, and I like it when you do that.
Yes, okay. Correct. Cultural worker.
Yes.
That's who I am. I've worked at a cultural institution for a little bit. I'm doing very different work in my 9 to 5 now, but I am still very much committed and connected to thinking deeply about our media landscape at a national level and at a global level. So that's who we are.
Yeah. And just to touch on what you said about the political and the dramatic, that's kind of how we connected, right? Not so much on the political side, but this idea that there's always a personal in the political and vice versa, and there's always rich text.
Always a rich text.
Out of all of the cultural products that we engage with. Like, they tell us about our world, our lives, our inner lives. And so because our conversations always went there and we shared that perspective, this has kind of been happening in private spaces since we met. Yeah. And we finally were like, we should really do this.
We should try.
Yeah. And we wanted to build a community with you all of people who think the same and can think with us. We felt like there's so many American platforms, especially on YouTube, that explore this kind of thing that we love and enjoy and follow. And we felt like, we want someone to talk about what's outside our doorstep, essentially. And so we were like, if no one's going to do it, girl. And I'm not saying no one out there exists. I'm just not aware of anyone else right now in South Africa.
Or other who has the same perspective that we do.
The specific perspective, yeah. So we were like, let's do it, because we take our media seriously and we take our popular culture seriously. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a lot on the docket today. Let's just go through what we're going to talk about today.
Yes.
So we know.
Yeah.
So that we're all on the same page. And then we'll get into it. Okay, so we're going to talk about Rod, Real Housewives of Durban, which, oh my God, there's so much to say. Then we have a segment on supposed unlikable women. Right? The case of Amanda Seales and Pearl Thusi.
Stay tuned
for that. And then Truth the Day. Yeah. Tyla album
They never
review.
seen a girl from Joburg.
It's what I prefer.
Was that aunties?
Jump. Hi-yo. Okay. So we go to the Drakensberg.
Some of us by car and others by
helicopter. Okay, before we go to the Drakensberg,
yes,
we end off the lunch, and we have Ulondi and Amy finally resolve whatever contact or conflict that they have initially.
It doesn't sound like they did.
It don't sound
like they talk about it
at all. Then we have our trip to the Drakensberg.
Yes.
And then we have some action.
Yes.
We have some WWE type moments.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what happens in the scheme of the episode. But we'll talk about the particularities. So tell me your thoughts.
So, my trusty notes app is going to join this conversation. These are my feelings, guys.
These are your thoughts.
And I want to start with this. And this is not a comment on my queen's actual beauty. I don't think she's ugly or whatever. But I noticed that at least to Londi, Londi and Amy are the main people who talk about Amy's beauty.
Yeah.
And I was like, because I don't have prior knowledge of Amy, I was like, what am I missing about her brand? Did she come out and just be this? Does she have a beauty brand? Like, what? Why are we talking about her beauty so much?
She tells us that she's a pretty friend in episode 3.
Whenever she comes through, yes. Okay, and? Okay.
Apparently that's...
So just Londi was enamored by her looks just on her own. It's not a...
Yeah. I don't know. I actually don't follow Amy enough to know.
We don't have to spend more time on that. Now, at the lunch. Ooh, Jojo. I respect her feelings being hurt and feeling attacked and all of that. But now why would Jojo say white bee plus seeing my son's photo on the table equals I can't
live in a country like this?
I can't imagine him having to grow up in a country like this. Like, why does it have to be about the children?
Yeah.
That felt like a reach.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
It felt like someone who was struggling to articulate why she was offended, wanted to approximate what she was called to a racial slur. She called it a racial slur, actually. But she just couldn't find the material to really get it over the line.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm curious how everyone else feels, because we've had something similar to this before on Real Housewives of Durban, but at the time it was about tribalism. It was the whole issue between Xhosa people and Zulu people.
Yes. And being told that they weren't
right, or interpreting it that way, because remember the conversation was, oh no, that's not what she meant. We mean it this way and we mean it that way. And I was like, this is going to keep coming up. This and the colorism, those things are going to keep coming up. And I just wonder how we feel about that.
So I know it's certainly insulting, right?
Yes.
To be called that. But I don't know if it's a racial slur. And I think equating it to a racial slur undoes the importance of what happens when a racial slur actually happens in particular moments, right? I don't want to discount her feelings at all. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to discount...
She can feel insulted.
How insulting that was. And I don't want to discount how strong and wrong Umabusi was, right? Because she was.
She was.
I just worry that when we kind of pander to this kind of language of political incorrectness, that we do a disservice to the stuff that really does hurt on a foundational level to this country.
Yes.
You know? So I just worried about that, but I don't want to discount her feelings around it.
Yes.
But I mean, also let us know if you guys disagree.
Yeah, like complicate that for us, because we don't walk in white women's shoes. Let's talk about death threats. Let's talk about death threats. It's a theme in the Housewives universe.
Yeah.
To get, or rather claim you are getting death threats. And then I don't want to say dine out on that, but certainly to claim that it's affected your life adversely, that it's put your family through a certain amount of pain, that it's now changed how safe you feel either in your immediate environment or among these women. Death threats have definitely they're like a housewives relic now. Also struggle to get behind that when we're crying about it.
Okay, tell me why.
As Jojo. I think similar to the point you made about saying things are racial slurs, I think that housewives in particular tend to use the death threat thing very loosely, and they weaponize it when they use it. So I felt like I don't have enough information, I don't have enough evidence, you actually haven't spoken about this much since it happened in terms of you getting death threats. So I don't know how much it really affected you, or if it even happened. Or if you even took them seriously.
Yeah. And also, I just to add to that, when Mabusi says that she was on Twitter with Ula Kongo, and apparently they were standing up for Jojo, I really struggle to believe that.
Yes.
I 100% struggle to believe that. And I want to kind of mirror what you're saying about the death threats. We don't hear about that until this very particular pointed moment in which you then can weaponize it and say that this is also in fact something you've been happened to me.
And it's characterized it's characterized as though Umabusi is like sending people to, and that the two things can be connected, but the one thing doesn't have to be enacted by the same person.
Yeah, and Mabusi strikes me as someone who's gonna fight you, but not necessarily someone who's then going to
sick her dogs at you.
Exactly. Yeah. But also like we said before, we don't actually know the inner workings of these people's lives.
Yes.
But what we know on screen is that it doesn't read authentic. No, but I mean, I just I just worry with that kind of signposting
Yes.
about these kinds of things, because I think it can
Notice
just
that she
create...
said signposting and not dog whistling. Because we're responsible with our words here, guys.
And the kinds of dangerous assumptions that we can make about people's because I don't know. I don't know that these people are inherently evil and are inherently terrible and are inherently...
And wish you death.
Yes, I don't think so.
Now, Mabusi is one to go after a moment and proceed to not get that moment.
Yeah.
Mabusi has tried to have a moment a lot. She actually reminds me this time around of, I don't know if you watch Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. No. So for those of you who do, you might recall...
everyone but Fezzy.
Yes, everyone who does their homework. Everyone who's really about it. Remember this most recent season, when Denise came back and tried to create a moment for herself with Erica. And Erica Bechimile. So, and my thing is, Erica doesn't even need... Erica on a bad day could, like... gather anyone just like that, and she'll do it for, like, in a theatrical, like, she'll do it for the viewers, which even feels more disrespectful, because it's like you're not even as emotionally invested as I am. Like, this is all theater to you. She'll do that, and so for her to come back and now be ready, unfortunately no one was ready in this scene with Mabusi, but probably even more unfortunate is the fact that because they weren't ready, it was all the more disappointing that she couldn't have her moment, because it's like no one was expecting you to attack, but you still missed. So that's disappointing.
So you're not a fan?
I love Mabusi.
Of the behavior in the last 2 episodes.
Of who though?
Mabusi.
Because maybe what's worse for Fezzi is that I don't care. Yeah. I just never invested in more, and I think it's the producers of the show do that to Mabusi. They don't give her enough of a serious role for me to get serious about her.
Also, just because in the realm of Housewives, the friend of the show is given enough of a backstory that we are invested in the kinds of beefs that she has, and so that when she is promoted to a polo wearing person or the peach girl or whatever, we then go, oh, we know you, Marlo. We know you.
Yes.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, we didn't get that here with Mabusi. She always has to kind of hitch her wagon to someone else. Yeah. And that's unfortunate. Yeah. It's unfortunate.
What do you think of Maria's
look? Conventional look, it's ugly. So glad you asked.
No, but that was I don't know if you...
It's giving confused stripper.
It just it's very Durban. It's very... I got
not the whole city queen.
No, and the Durban girls know what I'm saying. You girls, you know that I know that you know.
She said, "Are you with me, Lions?"
No, you guys, girls, you know.
Girl, I can tell you've been.
And it's a very particular kind of Durban, right? I don't want to say here that
you don't want to say neighborhoods.
Whatever, the Durban girls know what I'm talking about, okay? I will not be gaslit here about my province, okay? Okay?
You know what? You know better.
I know better. Yeah. I know this.
I'm the outsider in this culture.
I'm the Zulu queen here.
You really are. Should we get straight to the Michael Jackson of it all? Because that gagged me. I did that when I heard it.
I was also like, what's happening? Whoa, queen. Oh, that got
so hard to get behind, Zama.
Right? No. Oh, wait. Sorry, that's what you meant. No. I'm behind Zama.
Oh.
You know why? Because remember last week we talked about the narrative arc and the narrative center of the Zulu queens. Yes. And I think Zama
queen
looked around.
Yes.
And said, it's me.
It is I.
It is me. It is me. It is me.
Yeah. And got a bob to match.
Yes.
She looks great. I hate that she looks great.
All the time.
But I gag. I live.
All the time.
Yes.
Was that rude? Yes. 100%. 100%.
Was it insulting?
Was
I
it
think
hateful?
Is really the word.
Okay, wait. Rude? No, Fezokuhle, wait. Sorry. I retract everything I've said. I thought she was funny in general, but I do think
outside of the situation,
I think in general she's quite funny. But
Okay.
in this moment.
Do I have something in my eye? Because
No,
I feel like
no,
I do.
you don't.
Okay, I'm just gonna keep talking.
You're good. Okay, wait, I want to backtrack. Sorry, please don't cancel me.
It's only episode 2.
I'm literally understanding the weight of what I just said. No. Whoa.
Okay.
Whoa.
Okay.
Got it. Incorrect behavior. Yeah, that's...
No,
I'm
I love this. Because girl, get up. Girl, get up.
Girl, get up.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Okay, we're back now.
Okay, so I'm just gonna let you. I'm gonna let you finish.
Let me finish. Thanks, yay. The Michael Jackson of it all for me. The emojis I used were cry face in a millennial way, not a Gen Z.
Not a Gen Z, yeah.
And this, because I needed
Peza.
I needed to be in the room to do 2 things as a producer. One, to pause us, me and her in the room, and just be like, huh. Are you sure?
Are you sure you want to go this way?
Are you sure you want to... just like to bring it back down to earth and be like, oh, did you just call him Michael Jackson? Ask why.
Yeah.
Right? She's most likely going to dig herself into a bigger hole. But at least I've done my ethical responsibility.
As a producer.
That's such a layered thing to say, considering...
Yeah.
Why Michael Jackson became...
And Sarisha's journey as well.
And Sarisha, exactly.
Yes,
I would sort of start
journeys.
with, it's like you're insulting Michael Jackson, which everyone's gotten comfortable with. Now, I don't necessarily... I'm not invested in, like, defending Michael Jackson's honor, but as a human being, I can be... I don't imagine that he ever was like, oh, yeah, sure. I now represent something...
Yes.
Around struggling with skin tone and all of that. I don't think that's fun. And also just to be self-aware as a light-skinned person, I just don't know. I never want to go there. And then Sarisha's journey, right? Which I don't know very well, but I understand it also started with a kind of like the effects of colorism.
Yes.
And so it's tone deaf to me.
100%. 100%. Sorry. I feel...
Don't feel awful. No.
Feel terrible.
I don't think that... I don't believe that came from I understand what you mean. I saw it... Hold on. My initial reaction was like... and it's like, you laugh because it's funny on its own.
But it's
but
like...
then you like... And I think that's why I would have, as a producer, been like, let's just land here for a second so you can settle into what you just said. And like, it's not the kind of thing you can just like laugh at and move on from because it's messed up.
Yes.
But it is funny. It's just, it's unfortunately
Sure. So, and I think this is what we were saying about Zama being an unrepentant villain.
Yes.
And going to considerably use that level of...
Yes. She's going to go...
She's
going to take it to hell.
she is going to take it to hell every single time.
Yes.
Yeah, because initially I was like, ha!
Yes.
When I heard that, and I was like, that's so...
Raven.
It's the future. I can see. Yeah,
make
no.
sure this lipstick ain't moving.
Oh, okay, girl.
Because so much has happened.
Okay, let's have that moment.
Yeah,
but I just, in general, beyond that moment, want to go back to the kind of person that she's crafted herself into being. Yeah. And that has become the villainous narrator.
Yes.
Which I am really invested in.
Yeah.
I'm really invested in that. And I initially last week said, look, I also think that Angel can do that. And no, I don't no. Just the breadth and the span of that.
Yes.
I don't know that she can do that. Okay, but it's...
No, 100%. I agree with you. And I feel like there's something... And I want to complicate this for myself. Because it might be psychological. There's something that feels real and authentic about a villain. Even though nothing about a villain necessarily means you're real. Yeah. You know? And I think because I felt like I was swimming in the fakeness in this episode. Like, it's nice to just have someone who's like, I'm calling it.
I'm going to call this what it was.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
Even though, I would hate to be her editor. You know what I mean? But, so it's a messy role. She's the kind of person you grow to kind of love to hate. But it's a grounding role.
It is a grounding role. Okay, getting into the Drakensberg.
Let's do it.
Yeah, of it all.
Yeah.
So firstly, why are the cameras not up and running at breakfast?
The whole time. You are at work. We should be rolling
your single
phones. If our camera is charging and we were down a camera person, your iPhone is up.
Your iPhone is up. Someone is making sure that the drama between these women is taken.
And before breakfast, when we're picking rooms.
Exactly.
If you watch this franchise, you know that's a moment for like petty drama there.
Because we don't get to hear that. We don't get to hear that when we are all seated now at the bonfire. And apparently, Slee has lit up her incense and various reactions have happened as a result of that. Mm-hmm. And why are the cameras not there?
Thank you. Why is no one ready? I hated that.
And the girls just don't want to work anymore. Kimberly Kardashian.
No one wants to work these days.
Nobody wants to work these days.
It's like, come to work. Switch on your iPhone.
Because what I will say is that I feel like Slee came in to the weekend a little bit attitudinal.
Yeah.
Right?
And paranoid.
And a little bit paranoid.
I think Zama called that out.
And then everything was
taken the worst way.
Yeah, taken the worst way. Look, I think Joku and Nonku's joke about all the vulgar Zulu words that they could think of. You know, we're in bad taste.
Yeah.
But they weren't like...
Can we just do a PSA on that quickly? It's not cute. I don't think for any language to come in as an outsider trying to learn it, whether seriously or for TV, and then just like go for the vulgar words. It's like, as someone who went to multiracial schools, like it's so played. It's so annoying. It feels disrespectful. It's not endearing. I don't like it anyways.
Yeah. And I think, so firstly it was meant to be kept between them. It shouldn't have then been a joke in general. But then it's also the thing that if you're the adult in the room, you just go, okay guys.
Yeah.
Congratulations on your
moment.
So she comes in a little bit like taking everything too personally a little bit. Yeah. And so by the time we get to this moment, at the bonfire, we don't necessarily know what has transpired.
We can't decide for ourselves.
We can't read the different ways in which things could have been read. Because what we know about these women is that they have very particular versions of what happened, which are often not the truth.
Exactly.
Right? Like their reading of situations
is the self-serving version. Is
the version in which they are the protagonist and they are the victim.
Yes.
And we don't actually ever get a sense of what really has happened unless we kind of like sussed it out for ourselves as an audience member.
That's what makes a reunion facilitator so important.
Yes.
That's why.
Yes.
Because they're us in the room.
South Africa.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about these reunion hosts.
Yo.
Please get it together. Because
get it out of the way for me.
Yes. So, you know, I don't want to kind of speak too much on that because like I don't know that we have enough context.
We don't.
Around that. I don't necessarily know. Yeah, I mean, I think also what Nonku says is an incredibly bad taste.
The Utakati one.
Yeah, I think that's very hateful. And
you believe that... Because, please, let's just check back a little bit. Mm-hmm. I'm struggling to understand what the order of events was when it comes to what was said immediately after the bonfire moment where Usli airs, I guess, her grievance. Because then afterwards, I'm getting dialogue from when you were at the bonfire that wasn't in the scene.
Yes, and then we hear Angel
says something, and then there's a breakfast conversation.
Yes.
And there's a video footage from that breakfast conversation. So I actually really don't know who said what.
Yeah, but it does sound like Angel is the person who brings it into the conversation in the first place, and then everyone makes light and a joke of that, which I think is so incredibly out of touch for Unonku, given the fact that her spirituality is so foundational to who she imagines herself to be, and it's basically the hill that she likes to die on, right? Like she's like,
and hers is untouchable.
Yes, hers is untouchable. I'm a good Christian woman, right? So there's this very clear valorization of the kind of spirituality that you can be, that can be legitimated on the screen. And I think it's just very, problematic and out of touch, particularly in a country like this.
Yes.
And to some extent, I do agree with Thusi when she's like, I don't understand why you got this much of a reaction when this happened, when I was doing this thing. Exactly. Because you're also a black person. Just like, get it together. Just relax.
Yeah.
But Uzama kills me when she's like, what's in Minang? Doesn't mean.
Yo, dude. Nah, but Usli, let's get our arguments together. If we're gonna really, if we're taking this to trial.
I was like, girl,
like what? Okay, there are Christians in the. But I want to touch on the lips before we go.
Yeah,
it's another thing for me.
Yeah.
When I said I was swimming in fakeness, clear episode, I do want to first disclaim, but I don't necessarily. I'm not taking away from people's feelings. I'm not saying. When I talk about lips, for instance, I'm not saying Maria didn't come from a really hurt place, wasn't genuine about kind of wanting to put down, her arms when it comes to appearances and things. Like, I understand her waving the white flag. I don't think she loves Nonku so much, which she said when she hugged her. I don't think...
Yeah, so I thought that was a weird-ass conversation.
That was insane.
That was
I don't know enough about her backstory because I didn't watch a lot of last season to kind of stand 10 toes down on this opinion that I'm about to voice.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if those wounds run that deep. I think do they?
I don't know. I think she tries to give us some insight into this episode. But from last season, she portrays herself as being this very confident woman who has taken very particular decisions about her body, and that is her body and it's her choice, and she owns them, and then is really rattled by Jojo then making really horrible comments about the way that she looks and about her lips, and it becomes like a running joke between her and Nununku, and it really like
it does it go into bullying territory?
Yeah, it does. And I think it comes from the left field for her because at least like the assumption is if I'm gonna beef with you and you're an old friend of mine, there are certain things that we don't necessarily talk about because that this comes from a particular place of hurt, and then if you're gonna suddenly
make it fodder
for TV,
imagine, and for your fake friendship,
which
two questions, one question, two statements. One, Unonku, was she invited onto Private Jet Kasorisha that season?
This is season 2, and she was not. And then at the end, because she made a whole spiel about it, then she was like, okay, Nonku, do you want to get onto the private jet?
This is when they were going to Sun City, and Sorisha gave us the iconic, what are you even saying now, doll? Okay, so this wasn't her justice. She got her justice, but now she gets to make first team, I guess, onto the helicopter.
But last season she also was on a helicopter.
Jojo's.
No, Nonku.
But whose helicopter?
Her own.
Oh, she had chartered.
She had chartered her own. Yes.
Girls in construction.
She had she Fezokuhle?
Oh
no, she had.
Okay,
she had. And she needed everyone to know that as well.
Okay,
like it was important.
Okay, that it's.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is post that Scammerman. After
this
the car was
during
taken.
Scammerman.
Moving on. Too many notes. I don't know who Chantal is because the cameras weren't on.
No, Chantal is Maria, which is another thing.
Okay, my bad.
This is how you know Slee's also being hateful because she says, guys, I've chosen Maria because of XY reason, and it's really important to her. And then every time, because Jojo used to call her Chantel last year as well, when she wanted to demean her and make her as if she was this fake person.
It's like when people use Ayanda's old name against her. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, like who do you think you are?
So who
are you to reinvent?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. That's what's happening.
Thank you so much, Queen.
That's what's happening. Yeah, that episode, and then we get the fight, and then I'm just like, Jojo, why are you doing this? Uzo shy.
She looked great, by the way. That pink and the... I said, we're not seeing the looks enough. Let's start dressing our set in a way that makes our looks
Come on.
She looks beautiful.
And also, look, I think the panic attack that Maria does have is real, because I think she has just come from a place where she's like, okay, I've settled this thing about my lips. I even reduced them, and then I put, and then I just had like all of this inner turmoil about the way that I looked.
And she said, rifle down.
Yes. And then to have it brought up, and Angel does it in such a crude way, right? Like, there's something about being a housewife that you have to be funny, and that you have to be, like, you have to straddle that line.
Being funny is a skill.
Yes. Yeah. And she just is just vulgar. And not to say that it's appropriate at any point to body shame any person, but I am just saying that, like,
to it
if that's your position,
yeah,
then you need to, like, and stand 10 toes behind it, because she doesn't seem to. And then when Usli comes and speaks to her, and she's like, what did I tell you?
Yeah. I'm struggling to get behind Angel right now, because me too. She's finding herself, and it's the worst thing you can do on reality TV is find yourself in front of the people. Yeah, because we want you to tell us who you are, and then we decide how we feel about that.
Unless she has a Portia edit, unless, because we saw Portia in season 5 not know who she was, and then more, and then suddenly seasons,
do you think that was an edit though? It wasn't just a product of
no. Actually, I think that was true. I think she was in a weird relationship, in a weird time in her life, and then we kind of see her grow as a woman.
Yes, she has the best arc.
Yeah, she does, and maybe we'll get that with Angel.
Hopefully, yeah.
But
I was like, I feel like Slee gave up on her too quickly.
But Slee also says, "Girl, I want to protect you, but your mouth."
But it's like, at that point, I am being ganged up on.
Yeah.
And everyone is, every time I refute what's being said, it's like, you're a liar, which is not a lie. It's just so difficult.
Yeah.
Yes, there's really no honor among thieves, guys. I get it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's...
Yeah, Queen, we have to move on.
Let's move on, goddess.
On supposed unlikable women. The case of Amanda Seales and Pearl Thusi. Can I read this little thing that I put in?
Please, go ahead.
So we are prepared. Okay, we always have notes. We always have a sense of where we're going. Yes. Just to let you know, pop culture nerds. But I was reading an article yesterday, and I think this is really important to kind of foreground this conversation. So it says, like the complicated, often contradictory demands of being a woman, being unlikable implies being both too much of something and not enough of something else. What the something is will always vary, mutate, and slip away before being understood, with some other unlikable quality taking the place of the first one. Come on.
Wake it up.
Right?
Some backstory to that?
Okay, so Amanda Seales
is
an American truth teller, is what she tells us on her Instagram page. Comedian, actor. You might know her from Insecure. You might know her from actually, like, back in the day. Amanda's been acting since she was a child, right? And if you follow her Instagram stories, particularly at this moment, she's a person who's really thinking deeply about Israel's occupation of Palestine and the violence that is happening within that genocide, and is really advocating for the lives of Palestinian people. In general, is also really clear about the kinds of discussions that she's having politically with regards to policy in America, the voting blocks within the American discourse. And also, I think very honest about her own personal life, and then trying to think deeply about what has happened in her personal life in relation to what we think about the societal issues that are going around, right? Like that's the persona that you get. In fact, the first time we meet Amanda Seales, she says to Caitlyn Jenner, she's like, I'm not rude, I'm passionate.
Okay. And what she had said moments before that was, I don't get the same America you get. Like, America hasn't been good to me the way it's been good to you because you're white.
And by the way, this is one of her more calmer moments, right? Like, on her Instagram, she's a little bit
animated. But also, animated. I think when she's in dialogue, she's not as turned.
Yes.
She can get passionate, but she doesn't get turned. Yes. And so, mostly on her Instagram, we see her speaking to a screen, which I think it's easy to take your immediate emotion and convey it onto a platform, and then millions of people experience it personally, but you're just talking to your phone and you're just giving it raw emotion. So I think another thing about her is that people find her so because that she's vulnerable, right? And she's human. She's human, and she can be loud and wrong and loud and right. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty.
Also, I just want to say to a reference, that quote was from Anna Bogutaskaya. Sorry,
we'll put it on the screen. Or we'll link it in the thing.
We'll link it, but yes,
yeah. So that's kind of Amanda's brand, right? Like that's what people. Those are kind of the key words that come to mind, right? When we think about Amanda Seales and her role in contemporary pop culture, what happens last week is that she posts a video on Instagram. I'll probably put that up on the screen. But in this video, she says, you know what, guys, if I didn't have this community of followers and patrons and just an audience that comes with me everywhere I go, and if I wasn't hearing from you, all these encouraging words and just like having your consistent support, I would think I'm not doing anything, because the segment of Hollywood that I belong to and I want to be in community with and who I consider myself to be in service of have not acknowledged me. I don't get invited to these award ceremonies and all the other, events and things that people do or get to do when they're being celebrated by their community or peers. Of course, this
sparks conversation.
Yeah. Right. First, it's murmurs on Twitter about people, kind of having their takes about like, well, Amanda, you're a truth teller. Of course, people are not going to always like you. Others are like, who did you think was going to celebrate you when you're that loud and that wrong and that annoying? So I found that the adjectives were always around with things like you piss people off.
What did you expect?
But it's always it's never you say controversial things or you touch on difficult subjects, i.e. Palestine. No, it was because you're annoying. Yeah. Because you're rude.
And also it's about the content of her character, not her work, right? It's not
That's what I'm looking for.
It's not about the value.
Actual contribution.
The value of her contributions.
Yes, exactly.
And the kinds of ways in which she's been able to steer particular conversations within contemporary pop culture. Yeah. And also, let's be honest, the average American citizen is not well informed.
And let's talk about it.
Right? At all. And here is a person who has really taken seriously the mantle of education and making particular viewpoints available to an audience that potentially... actually, maybe that's wrong. I think maybe a lot of her followers are kind of connected to these conversations already, but she's also leveraging her position in the limelight to further have these conversations and to further advocate.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And that rubs people the wrong way.
Let's talk about the people it rubs wrong. Because I think there's what I want to touch on here when it comes to, normal us normals and what the reactions were, is that a lot of people took on what they assumed to be the position of their faves, right, in relation to Amanda Sales. So a lot of people assume, right, that a lot of the people in from the cast of Insecure don't like Amanda.
Yeah.
Yes, there have been some signals, right, or like some indications that there might be some friction between Amanda and some cast members.
Yes.
But there's no confirmation that Amanda doesn't get along with all of them.
Yes.
But fans often take inaction, silence from people like an Issa Rae or an Yvonne Orji in service or in defense of Amanda Sales as condoning hate speech against Amanda Sales, or at least agreeing with it. So I found that, or at least I feel, from what I've seen, a lot of people are saying, more than they're saying, you annoy me and you're rude to me, they're saying, well, what did you think? People are going to be annoyed by you. So it's like they're kind of assuming and imposing an opinion on all of Black Hollywood about Amanda that they have no way of confirming, right?
At this point, also people are kind of taking in when Amanda is quite vulnerable about particular situations in which she leaves particular things. So we know the Black Hollywood party that she can't get entry
She was kicked out of, which is even worse.
Yes, and that's because of Issa Rae's publicist. Yeah. We also know that, I mean, she mentions a lot of things. I mean, the real is also one of the things that she mentions as being like a working environment that she didn't quite enjoy. But she makes very clear that these are the people that I was connected to and that knew my story, that I still am connected to.
And I still have good relationships with. We've seen how she's gone on to still be on good terms with Adrian, Lonnie.
No, not Lonnie.
Not Lonnie.
Yeah.
And
Jeannie.
Yes. So we know that Amanda has good relationships. We know Sanaa Lathan's father produced and essentially like supported her HBO comedy stand-up special. So we know Amanda has good relationships. It's why she's kind of still working. So it's not that she's been blackballed and she's not there. She just isn't appearing at very particular spaces. Yeah. Right? Okay. Someone then decides to write an article. Someone who works as the business editor at Essence.
And we also have another article at The Roots. Oh, you didn't see that one.
Didn't see that one. I think I was so angry after reading the Essence one. I was like, I have all my thoughts here, actually. And this woman essentially says, and I'll link this, I don't want to misrepresent the article, but you can read it in your own time. I will play the video. In fact, let me play it now. Of a young man who summarized it beautifully on TikTok. And also took it upon himself to defend Amanda.
Are we going to have this on the screen?
We will have it on the screen.
Love that. Look at us.
Essence, this is what we not going to do. We're not going to try and disparage Amanda Seales for being a woman of principle, for having character and courage, for laying respectability politics aside in her relentless love of Black people and her love of humanity. Amanda Seales made a video talking about how she's not welcomed in Black spaces or celebrated in Black spaces despite her work. And then Essence commented on that very video and said, "We hear you and we love you. We will do a better job at showing up for you and showing you that the love is real." And then a few days later, they cleared a Black woman to write an op-ed centering Amanda Seales, talking about how likability is more important than being good at your job. I mean, this is a thorough outlining about the importance of being liked. It makes the claim that Amanda Seales doesn't have qualities that make her likable. And the thing is, the writer acknowledges the history of Black women and likability. She talked about how Black women have had to battle preconceived notions about the way they present, and then goes on to perpetuate that same anti-Blackness by talking about likability, saying, yeah, that history is true, but sometimes it's just us.
And I want to pause there, because that's her thesis. She literally says, yes, it's a thing. It's a structural thing, but sometimes it's just us.
Yeah.
I want to know the scientific method by which you can determine when a structural problem is not in effect, like completely absent, and the person's personal downfalls or pitfalls are the reason she's now suffering.
Yeah. And also, what's interesting about this article is that she references the various stereotypes that women of color and Black women in
Hollywood.
America and Hollywood have had to work or rub up against that have created, as you say, a structural racist environment in for which they can move in between. I think it's really important for, if you're interested, to read Melissa Harris' wonderful book, which we will link because I'm writing out. But her particular talk where she talks about Black women in America are in a kind of tilted room, right?
You love referencing this, yeah.
I love it. Because what does it mean to operate in a world in which you are not taken at your humanity from the beginning, right? What does it mean to operate in a world in which from the onset, the amount of racism and the amount of sexism that you're going to experience just as a function of the world in which you live because of who you are, what does it mean to actually exist within that in that context and then still try to operate in this world as
and
if
have
you're
the right
able to
orientation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's really important for us to take seriously and take cognizance of, because the same writer in that article says, well, look, theoretically, she says, theoretically, look, I like the odd provocation.
And it's like, what?
But I also don't like it when you make it like a little bit terrible for me at work.
So what are we saying? Are we saying be real but make it fashion?
Yeah.
Be real but make it acceptable?
Yeah.
What does it mean to be acceptable in this moment in time? Especially in the American context. Like, what does it mean to have the right message that isn't acerbic but is destabilizing, that is disruptive just by virtue of what it is?
Yes.
Like,
And
if you
also-
are going to critique the structure, you can't then also excuse the structure.
Exactly. But it's the same thing that wants you to ask for Black women to be at the forefront of every single social justice movement. Black women are putting their lives on the line. Black women are putting their reputations on the line. Their livelihoods,
their brands,
their capacity.
if you want to talk, like,
Black women are always at the forefront of these conversations. And then you say, but they're a little bit unlikable.
Yeah.
And also, I just want to have a conversation about, like, what does unlikability
so I want to go
do
there
for us?
I want to go there.
And what are the structures that have created it such that we think that unlikability is a moral trapping?
Okay.
What is this thing?
Well, because we can't. I love the quote that you used here, because it makes it very clear that you can't situate likability. Like, there's no way to. It's like many other frames that we're bound by as women. Beauty, those, it's so subjective. It's, you're not beautiful enough today.
And it's slippery.
Enough today. It's slippery. It's unstable.
Yeah.
And so likable, because we can't stabilize it as what it, because it moves depending on who the viewer is. It can't do anything for us because we don't know what it is. All it can do is work against us.
Yeah.
And so that's when I want to bring in the conversation about Peal Thusi.
Yeah.
And now I want you to stay right where you are. Just breathe through this, because I'm going to hold two opinions actually in one hand. We're going to sit with this discomfort. Peal Thusi has said things and has expressed opinions that I can't get behind. Right? In the past. As is true for most people in the world.
Because
I don't have to agree with everyone. I don't even have to agree with everyone on my TV screen.
Exactly. Remember when Fezzi started laughing inappropriately earlier? Yeah?
Complicated.
Can't get behind that.
Can't get behind that. But getting behind the rest of who she is in this hour.
Please do.
You know?
Please.
So I personally don't feel like I'm a Peal Thusi fan. I'm not a fanatic of her work. I'm not someone who feels like, I don't feel like she makes work for me. I'm okay with Peal Thusi existing. I don't get irritated when I see her on my screen.
Yeah.
But I've observed conversations about her on Twitter that have moved away from whatever she might have said, right? Like, that the masses didn't approve of. Like, it's no longer, how could she deny colorism, which she swears it is not what she was doing. But words mean things, and we'll do an episode on that.
Yeah.
So it's moved away from, I disagree with her about this particular thing, and it's just become this generalized, I just don't like her.
Yeah.
Yes, Xhosa, there's a word called izote, and it's like, it's the negative X factor. It's like, you just have this thing that I hate, that disgusts me.
Yeah.
And I can't explain it, you just have it. And notice how it becomes a characteristic that you now embody. It's not I react like this to
Yes,
you.
Sula,
It's you
guys.
have this. Yes. Yeah, but we make it about the person.
Yes.
We say you are missing this or you have this and it's making me react in this way. Instead of just going, I don't love you.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so watching the discourse around Pearl Thusi kind of evolve over the years, especially on Twitter, I've seen it theater on the misogynistic. There's also the xenophobes who feel like the fact that she has or has not allegedly dated Nigerian men or any kind of non-South African men makes her, I don't know what kind of tainted they imagine. So I've seen people use the kind of general acceptability of people disliking Pearl as a pass, an easy pass to just kind of spew any kind of hate on her.
Yeah.
So what happened last week is some Twitter account reposts a video of her dancing to water, which she's done before. And it's kind of retweeted, like it really travels. And I watched the quote tweets kind of evolve from what is she doing, you know, just like general disapproval to why is she so unlikable? Oh, I hate her. And this is happening
0
at the
to
time.
100.
This 0 to 100, you know, and it's like we're losing nuance. We're just hating her openly, and we don't know why. And I think for me, it's always dangerous when we fall into a silent agreement to hate certain women without sitting with the nuance of that. Like why do we hate her now? Like, let's keep up with what the truth is. What are the facts? What has she done? Why is it becoming more and more acceptable that we disapprove of this woman?
Yeah.
Because what can happen to Pearl Thusi is what can happen to me. And Fezzi.
Yes.
And, you know, another femme.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So we must always keep tabs on the language we use to not only critique, but just to engage with
And
these
because
celebrities.
often that language is usually coded.
Yes.
Right? The thing about we just don't like
she just has a
her.
thing.
There's something about her. There's something else that's happening there, right? There's something else that's actually happening here. It's like, why does this woman dare
Yes.
to be living her full life in front of us, right?
When we don't like
When
her.
we don't like her. Does the fact that she is not taken seriously, her sexuality, the way that she moves in this world, her sensuality, all these things suddenly become fodder for us in very, very dangerous and very specific ways that tell us, boop, boop, oh, this is about gender.
It's about gender.
Boop, boop, oh, this is about the fact that she's black. Boop, boop,
Or not black enough.
or not black enough. Ta-da! Ta-da! Oh, that's what we're talking about. Oh. Ta-da! No, yeah. And I think it's really important for us to think about these ways in which we just apply critique to various people within the public sphere just because that's what we have in common is the public. And what it actually does about the language that we use to mediate our own relationships and our own worlds.
Yes.
Right?
And
Because
how
if
we
you can do it
mold-
to Pearl, you can do it to Ayanda, you can
Yes.
do it to Fezzi. Of course you can do it to the person.
But what
next
does it
to
tell
you.
me about me and what I should say to myself?
Yes.
It's talking about the female fear factory, for instance.
Exactly. Come on, Pumla Kola.
When I see a woman being harmed, right? And I see people blaming her for it, blaming how she was dressed and all of that, or I see the perpetrator not be brought to justice, all those things telegraph to me what happens when I get violated. And so what I'm gonna do as a human being is go, how do I reverse engineer that to a point where I don't get harmed? And so then that's why all this is important, because the language we use to describe what's happening around us is constantly redefining and reinscribing what we believe about the world. And therefore what we believe about what we can do in the world and what's possible for us. So I say that all to say, if I'm looking at people describe what they don't like about Pearl, and I'm also seeing the things you just described about her and how she moves, and I don't have to be young to do this, by the way. I don't have to hide behind young girls. All of us as women. What I'm internalizing is maybe I shouldn't be that free.
Yeah.
I shouldn't.
Yeah. How dare I?
How dare I?
How dare? And then you police yourself.
Yes.
In these ways.
That's the real problem
Yeah.
here.
I just want to say finally to the people at the back, one more time, my girl Anna said this. She said, like the complicated, often contradictory demands of being a woman, being unlikable implies being both too much of something and not enough of something else. What the something is will always vary, mutate, and slip away before being understood.
Before being
understood.
Because it's done its job.
Come on. With some other unlikable quality taking the place of the first one. Because suddenly, it's not about Pearl's ex.
No.
It's about Pearl's Y.
Oh.
It's not about
I love that.
Amanda's.
No. It's not about Jada's ex.
It's not.
It's about Jada's Y. And don't get me started on my girl Jay. Okay? We need rappers like them. Right? Like, we need women. And I think what I want us to, maybe as part of my parting words, and you can do your thing, I want us to remember that before it was acceptable to be these kinds of women, there were women who were quiet, who were shy, they were called graceful, right? Like there was
Classy.
There were women who didn't like being in the spotlight. There was all these words to describe a virtuous woman. And women like us, which you probably think nothing of now. Like we're out here speaking our opinions, being educated and all that. Women like us had that je ne sais quoi. Of like, I just don't, she's just so loud. She's just so... We needed women like us back then to not shrink, to not silence themselves. We needed them to push against whatever was being projected upon them. We needed women who were going to interrogate why we couldn't talk. Women who are probably going to have to accept being unlikable for their whole lives in order for us to be able to be who we are now. So I want us to always see ourselves as existing along kind of like the evolution like plane.
Yeah.
Like where am I in evolution
Yeah.
and what is going to be my contribution for women who come after me? And this is part of that work.
Yeah. And by the way, I don't necessarily think I am always likable all the time. There are various filters that will make me incredibly unlikable in different ways, right? And it's important to think about that as well in kind of thinking about how you authentically live your life. Because also, sweetie, what is most likely going to happen if you are interested in the heterosexual world is that there will be a man who will be interested in humbling, correcting, policing, defining, incapacitating you.
Yeah.
For that je ne sais quoi.
Yeah.
You know?
Which will intrigue them in the beginning.
Yeah. Wow! But that's another podcast.
That's another podcast.
Do we have time to do Tyla? Should we do Tyla?
Oh my God, I forgot. Let's do her quickly.
Let's do Tyla. Oh
Quickly,
my God.
Tyla. We won't be
guys,
long.
Please. Just want to say, truth or dare, yeah. Oh my God, Tyla.
Baby, oh my God.
Firstly, I just want to say, from the top of that album to the end of it, what an introduction.
Yes.
What an introduction to yourself. What an introduction to the world about yourself. I saw like one reviewer like really hate the first track, and I was like, you are out of your mind, because what this first track does with Calvin Momo, what it does is that it introduces us into the world of piano. It gives us a reference. It gives us a context.
Who are the voices?
Of
the real voices.
The real
piano.
voices.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It gives us a rich text. Please come on. It says, hello, how you doing?
Yeah.
I love that she starts it that way. And she gives us the sense of like this South African session that we're in, where people are speaking or talking or having a good time, because we're about to have a good time. Oh my God.
Oh, my baby girl.
I loved that. I absolutely love that. I love that it was just like a sneak peek into the world, and she presented us with the world. And then she starts. And
she sings. Please.
Oh. And it's a really fantastic album. Okay, we don't have a lot of time, but I just want to speak about some of the ones that I just I just want to say that Butterflies
Oh, yes.
could have been TK.
Yes. Hey, Queen. Yeah.
Once upon a time.
Yeah. It's the younger sister to TK and who else can satisfy
my each and every need.
Queen, I'm sorry I forgot your name, but it's
Ooh.
you. Please. Yes.
You know what? I need just before I even ask. Come on. That was a song.
Yeah.
That was my
Please.
Okay. I want to say jump.
I get
Hey!
please. Jump stands.
That is meant to be the next single. It is so good. It is so deeply just the song in which she just speaks her shit. She is so cool.
Yeah.
And
She's
it's
so cool.
And it's so like Joburg and so referential,
Yes.
and it's so like, this is, I just love the fact that she was able to position herself into the world with a clear sense of who she was. And so when she tells us that she's been working on this album for 3 years, I believe that because there's a clarity and purpose.
There's a point of view.
There's a point of view. We know that she's made some terrible songs before this,
Sure.
and then she's figured it out.
Yes.
And then she's gone, actually, To Last is my jam. My personal
I'm
jam.
still warming up to her. But yeah.
That log drum. Hi, boo. Instead, you want it to last. What a job. I feel so bad because we've left this so late.
I'm so sorry, my baby.
No, Priorities is the pop single that we needed and that we wanted.
Yes.
That was also R&B
Yes.
focused.
Yes.
And also, if you actually listen to the lyrics of the song, how fantastic. I made it a priority to put myself at the end.
Imagine. And let's talk, because I think, and we'll do a thing one day. So much homework we've set for ourselves about like the evolution of R&B and how like it's represented, how, for better or for worse, how lovers, guys,
Yes.
genuine born lovers,
Yeah.
have retracted like back into their shells. The men are doing it in a toxic masculine way.
Yeah.
We women are doing it in very interesting self-care language, right? But like, I feel like it represents ultimately we're losing lovers. But that's just, and that's crazy
that's
for
another
R&B.
story.
That's crazy for R&B. But yes, but also what gets destabilized when women choose themselves.
Yes. Yeah. Come on, Ayanda. This is why we needed to have this on a different day. Number 1 with Thames is such a
Beautiful.
bop.
Yeah.
So
Needed
good.
more of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my only criticism is that it's a little bit short, but that's also her decision. It's about 38 minutes long. It means that I'm going to play it again.
Our
It
album
means
is
that it's
shorter.
going to...
Who am I?
It means that I'm going to keep blasting this. This is such an important listen sonically for the
Yes.
year. But I think it just is going to be the kind of lifeblood and the life track that we're going to have for a couple of years. I think that Tyla in this moment is going to be able to do what Cardi was able to do, which is to have multiple hits off of the one record.
And that's,
and also she gave us a clear sense of cohesion.
yes.
And I think that's what the American audience is not necessarily quite getting, and they keep saying it's the same song. It's not.
I'm so sick. Like, we have to teach, and you know what's fine. It's fine.
It's not, because Butterflies and Truth or Dare are just...
It's just like the marginal position is a forever thing. Like, you never, even when you move into the mainstream, because you're historically marginal, you keep having to explain who you are and where you come from.
Yeah.
Hate that.
Yeah. Anyway, but welcome, Tyla.
Welcome, Tyla.
You're here to stay.
You are queen.
You have your room key.
Over our dead bodies are you leaving?
Oh my God. Tyla, love you. Do you have any more thoughts on Now Girl?
I think you've said it all. I don't want to take up any more time. Also, all I have for Tyla is like blind approval of everything she does, because that's my baby.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
I'm like the mom on Mean Girls. I'm the cool mom.
You're doing amazing, sweetie.
Do you guys need any condoms?
The capability to shift pop in this way and to kind of
Let's talk about
create a new moment.
Because she really took piano into the pop.
Exactly.
She took piano from being a transient thing.
Yes.
into being like a subdivision of pop.
Exactly.
A subgenre
Exactly. And then she was able to create a lane for a new type of audience in pop. Whilst also bringing forth the old audience and saying, come with me, sweetie. Come with me. She's done this really fantastic thing that I think South Africans, you need right now to capitalize on this moment.
All of us.
All of us.
Why do you think the cameras are?
To capitalize on this moment, because I think Tyla has really shifted something in the kind of imagination of pop.
Yes.
And I think that is always really, I mean, like, we are pop culture girls, but we also are pop girls, right? Like, and people don't take seriously that pop is good music, right? And it's the reason why it is popular music.
There's a science to it. The same way you make household brands.
Listen to me. I'm that queen who is going to be eclectic in the room, who's going to be listening to every single person. But let's take a moment and think about what pop has done for the kind of messaging of the various eras within our lives, and how it has kind of become the background music to the ways in which we've appreciated, gone against, critiqued, moved through the world.
It locates us in time and actually in our evolution.
Yes.
Like, it tells us what was acceptable and what needed to be disrupted, when we had to make it actually unnormalize being silent.
Yeah.
Pop music, like, we know now the moment in the 80s when that happened.
Yes. 100%.
And I just, that's what I'm going to say now, because you're getting me passionate.
Anyway, I'm not angry, I'm passionate.
I'm not Thank you. I love you. This has been great.
This has been wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving us your time again. We love you.
Please come back next week. Don't forget to subscribe, share. Feedback always welcomed. And also, we are not yet on other platforms. All of them. I really hope, I feel like this episode you will find not just on YouTube, and it'll be in other places. Okay. But I am working on making sure it's everywhere. Just like some housekeeping.
But we will be here every week. We've been asked how often we're going to be doing this. We're going to be here every week. And on a secret day. No, we're not telling you what that day is yet. We have lots of interesting content to give you, and so we can't wait to be with you again.